So over the last few years, Apple has released a regular iPhone lineup and then a Pro level iPhone lineup, and normally there is a good amount of differentiation between the two. But this year, Apple made the iPhone 16 and 16 Plus extremely compelling by really kind of giving it all the latest and greatest, from the A18 chip to Apple Intelligence readiness to the camera control button, a new action button, and a bunch of other stuff that just makes the iPhone 16 abnormally good compared to the iPhone 16 Pro lineup. And we believe that's for good reason, and it's because an iPhone SE 4 is right around the corner. Let's talk about it. So the current iPhone SE 3 released back in 2022, so we are due to get an upgrade probably early in 2025 to the iPhone SE 4. And the iPhone SE 3 is also the final iPhone that still has a traditional forehead and chin, as well as an actual physical home button, and that will be completely removed with the new SE 4. And there's a bunch of new features that are coming to the iPhone SE 4 that are going to make it extremely compelling, especially depending on what that price point is going to be. So let's talk about the iPhone SE 4 and what to expect moving forward, because I think a lot of people are going to be gravitating towards this phone versus anything else. So as I mentioned, the new iPhone SE 4 will completely be revitalized and brought over to the modern design language of the current iPhone. So we should get something very similar to the iPhone 14 lineup with its flat edges, edge-to-edge display, and an OLED panel. Also, definitely expect to get things like Face ID as opposed to Touch ID, but instead of a dynamic island, we should still have a notch on this new iPhone SE 4. Some other things to expect with the iPhone SE 4 will be that we should be getting an action button, which gives the action button across the entire lineup of all iPhones, and it will forego that mute switch that we've grown to either love or hate in the past. And I know some people loved it, some people hated it, and some people like the action button over the mute switch and vice versa. But I do believe once the iPhone SE 4 comes out, an action button will be the only thing on iPhones moving forward. Also, Apple will have to put USB-C on this new iPhone SE 4, but it will not be obviously the faster Pro level USB-C. It'll be the more traditional, slower charging and slower data transfer speeds that we see on the current iPhone 16 and 16 Plus. Now, one big interesting thing that Apple's going to be putting in the iPhone SE that is not going to be on any other iPhone is going to be their own proprietary 5G modems. So Apple acquired Intel's modem division back in 2019, and they've been working on their own version of a 5G modem to be able to put in their devices moving forward, similar to how they went from the Intel-based chips over to their own form of M-series based chips. So that's going to be coming, and it's going to be guinea pig tested on the iPhone SE 4. Now, in terms of size of this new iPhone SE, there's only going to be one option, and I do believe it's going to be a 6.1-inch option, similar to what we have right now with the iPhone 16, but I do wish that they would give us a 5.3-inch option, that we have with iPhone 12 mini and 13 mini respectively. So I still have the iPhone 13, and I use it on a frequent basis from time to time as a second phone or a second camera, and I just love this size and form factor, so I hope Apple brings that over to this new iPhone SE, but let's see exactly what happens in that point. And then in terms of cameras, it'll have one rear camera and then one front-facing camera. The rear camera will be that 48 megapixel sensor, which we've gotten over the last couple years in the current lineup of iPhones, and Apple, of course, with their marketing jargon, will let us know that it's going to have two different optical levels, that it's going to act as two different cameras because it'll be able to crop in and give us that 2x optical zoom, which in reality is just bending in to those 12 megapixels inside of the 48 megapixels, but it will be a single rear camera with no telephoto, no ultra wide angle, and of course no macro either. It's going to be the bare bones, but it'll still be a great camera nonetheless. And then of course it'll have a camera on the front, which will be a 12 megapixel selfie camera for Face ID and FaceTime and all the things that come with that. But now, the biggest surprise, especially for me, is that Apple will be giving Apple Intelligence to this iPhone SE. And I think it's because Apple feels the need that the Apple Intelligence situation that they have, that product, that software, is going to be what they're going to be pushing forward over the next couple of years. And they're going to be innovating on that and iterating on it over and over again. And they can't have a new iPhone in their lineup without Apple Intelligence. So that's why Apple will be putting the A18 in the iPhone SE in early 2025. And we did some research to kind of go back. When Apple released the iPhone SE 3 back in 2022 in March, they did put the same exact A15 chip that they put in the iPhone 13 and the iPhone 13 Pros inside of the iPhone SE. So it's still capable enough. It might have been throttled down a little bit and things like that, but it still had all the capabilities of even the 13 Pro Max. It was just in an older chassis and the older hardware that we've seen in the past. So Apple's going to be doing the same thing by putting the A18 chip in this SE4, giving it 8 gigs of RAM, which means it'll be Apple Intelligence capable moving forward. Now, there remains yet to be seen if it can get all the Apple Intelligence stuff, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So in terms of pricing, the current iPhone SE does sit at around $429, and we are expected to increase that price to about $499 or $500. So the lineup will actually get rid of the current iPhone 14, which technically you can still buy brand new from Apple right now for $599 or $600. So the iPhone SE4 will replace that price point, and the lineup will look as follows. It'll be $499 for the iPhone SE4, then increase $200 for the iPhone 15 at $699. You still have the iPhone 15 Plus at $799, then the iPhone 16 at $799, with all those corresponding iPhone 16 prices moving forward, all the way to $1199 for the 16 Pro Max. So that's going to be a big array from $500 at the cheapest point to about $1,200 at the highest point. But again, that is the reason why we think that Apple put so much into the iPhone 16, because if you just look at the iPhone 16 compared to the new SE4 that will be coming out, that's a $300 price difference. And if Apple didn't give, let's say, the camera control button and the action button and all these other things that made the iPhone 16 a great value, then a lot of people will forego the iPhone 16 and then just go to the iPhone SE4. And Apple can't really have that during their price ladder, so Apple still wants more people to buy the 16 and the 16 Plus and that entire lineup of phones. But they also want to offer a cheaper price point with the iPhone SE4, but still give it enough modern features to make it usable and make it future-proof for years to come. So I, for one, am excited for Apple to release an iPhone SE4. Like I said, it'll probably come out in March of 2025, but we're already getting a bunch of information about what it's going to entail. It's going to have a completely different form factor. It's going to have a single 48 megapixel camera, the 12 megapixel front-facing camera. It's going to have an edge-to-edge display. It'll have Face ID. It'll still have a notch, but Face ID nonetheless. It'll have the action button, no camera control button, but it will be Apple Intelligence ready with the A18 chip built right into there. So again, this phone is going to be extremely capable, and hopefully it'll stay at sub $500, which will make it very appealing for a lot of people. So I'm excited to see what Apple does with the iPhone SE4. But that'll do it for this video, everybody. Let me know in the comment down below what you think. Do you think Apple's doing the right thing by bringing the A18 chip to the iPhone SE4? Do you think people will feel maybe cheated from the iPhone 16 because, you know, it's $300 more for maybe not $300 worth of value? Let me know what you think from that situation psychologically. But will you be picking up an iPhone SE4? Are you using the current iPhone SE? I had the iPhone SE3 for a while and I used that as a secondary camera because it was a great camera nonetheless, but now I use, like I said, the 13 mini. I do hope that Apple keeps the iPhone SE at a smaller screen size, maybe that 13 mini size, but let's see exactly what they do from a screen size and form factor standpoint at the end of the day. But like I mentioned, that'll do it. Leave some comments down below what you think of this new iPhone SE. Are you gonna get one? If you had an older, maybe iPhone 13, would you go with the SE or would you go all the way to the 16? Those are all questions you're gonna have to ask yourself and see how Apple gets you up that price ladder. But that'll do it. If you made it to the end, leave a little dolphin in the comments down below so I know you made it to this point in the video. And if you want to watch more videos like this one, check out these two videos right here. YouTube thinks you're gonna like this one, and I think you're gonna like this video. But I'm Fernando. Peace, everybody. It's 13 mini, still kicking with iOS 18. I love it.